born and raised in Baltimore, and I grew up in a house full of trauma and degradation, and it was just rough. You know, we grew up with words like party. It wasn't called exploitation. It was called, I'm going to give you this gift, but don't tell your mother, which is considered grooming. And I didn't know. So awareness is knowing when a child is being groomed. Awareness is knowing when a person is being exploited for drugs, or for a place to stay, or for the sake of love. That's human trafficking. When someone says, I love you, I'll give you a place to stay, however, you have to do X, Y, Z, that's considered human trafficking. I am so honored that my pain became my purpose. Because I can stay there, but I gotta get to the other side. I look nothing like what I want to work this runway right now. I look nothing like what I've been through. That tragedy became my triumph. I helped legislate law around human trafficking. Now survivors can have their criminal records vacated. I was the first in the state of Maryland to have my criminal record vacated. I went to legislation and I took all that down there and I talked to the council people, and they are real humans just like us. We have some people that are actually out here doing the work. And I got involved with just advocacy, advocating. Man, let me tell you how I met Bella. Thank you, Michelle. Networking is everything. Be sure to network and exchange and get somebody's number in here. I met Bella through Michelle, and we got on the phone and she shared her story and I shared mine, and she has my heart in whatever she needs and whatever resources that I have, I promise to pour into the Bella Levy Foundation. So I say all that to say that I am honored to be here. I'm honored to be speaking. If you want to know more about the work that Donna Bruce Unlimited is doing, you can follow me at Donna Bruce Unlimited, Donna Bruce, just Google me, Donna Bruce Unlimited, on Facebook, on social media. The website is www.donnabruceunlimited.com, because we're pouring back into the community through healing, and it's healing through the arts. We understand that healing happens in untraditional ways. It doesn't happen on the couch all the time. Sometimes you have to push your way through dance. You have to learn cosmetology. You have to connect with other people. So there's multiple ways to heal. So there are resources, and I'm living proof that you don't have to stay in the life. And if you are in the life, please reach out to the Human Trafficking Awareness Hotline. So that's all I got. I'm going to now introduce my friend. Oh man, this councilman is amazing. Councilman Zeke Cohen, I can read this, but I know a lot of them see, was the first to legislate trauma-informed in the state of Maryland. He does amazing work in the community. I'm gonna let him do it because I'm not gonna take his shine, but listen, he is running for CCP, y'all. My friend, Councilman Zeke Cohen.
Let me first say, y'all look really good.
Thank you.
Welcome to Baltimore. We are thrilled to have you all here, to the amazing Bella Levy Foundation. Thank you so much for the work that you all are doing. To Donna, my very close friend, thank you for not only being a light, but for your journey, your story, and all that you do to support people who have experienced some of the pain that you've experienced, but may not be on the other side yet, but you help them get there. So thank you for that. It is really an honor to be with you all here today. Like Donna said, my name is Zeke. I represent the 1st District on the Baltimore City Council. And as she said, my claim to fame is I introduced a bill that made Baltimore the first city in America to have legislated trauma-informed care. And I want to tell you briefly about that before introducing my friend, Councilman Chris Burnett. In 2019, there was a school shooting here It was in West Baltimore. It was at Frederick Douglass High School. A gunman came in and shot one of the school staff. The kids were there, the teachers were there. It was incredibly chaotic and traumatic. One of the young people said he had to duck behind a desk to avoid the gunfire. And so we held a hearing in the Education and Youth Committee, and what we heard was young people say to us, you know, Councilman, you all spend a lot of time thinking about how to police us, but not enough time thinking about how to prevent violence from occurring in the first place. And instead of just coming up with some new policing strategy, why don't you come up with a prevention strategy? Why don't you seek to address the underlying trauma, the ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences that we've had? Whether that's trafficking, whether that's food insecurity, housing insecurity, growing up in a family with substance use disorder and drug use. That's what you all need to focus on. And so we spent about a year doing a big listening tour across the city of Baltimore, trying to hear from every corner of our city what we could do to address this issue of trauma. And what often came up is that people would say, you know, there's a lot of pain in our city, but there's also so much healing. There's also so many good people who are working together, just like the folks you see in front of you, to make this city better. And what we don't need is another organization or nonprofit. What we need is a movement of people working together for the betterment of Baltimore. And I'm so proud to have Donna as one of the leaders in that movement. We call it the Healing City Movement. And what we did is we came back to Frederick Douglass High School where this horrific shooting had taken place. And right there in front of the entire school, the young people who had witnessed that tragedy spoke again, not just about what it was like to have been through this horrible event, but then, just like Donna said, to have mastered their pain and turned it into purpose, and to have written legislation, and to have lobbied and advocated for it. And then right there in their high school, our mayor at the time, Jack Young, signed the Healing City Act, making us the first city in America to have legislated trauma-informed care. And so although we are a city with many challenges, we are also a city of great hope and opportunity. And it's because of the people that live here, the people who are in this fight, the people who are fighting against trafficking and violence and all the other forms of trauma that we see, is why I love raising my two children, Maya and Elias, here. It's why I love sending them to Baltimore City Public Schools. It's why I love being a dad and a councilman in this city. It is truly an amazing place, and those of us who have the privilege of living here, we know it. Even if the TV doesn't always tell us that, we know how great we are in this city. And so again, I want to thank Bella Levy, because this idea of fighting back against trafficking is so important. We know that so many people, this is a voiceless crime, and part of what it does is take people's voice away. So to have you as a voice for justice, for wisdom, for health, for healing, is so important to us, and we thank you for what you're doing. Proud of you. And I want to briefly introduce my colleague as well, Councilmember Chris Burnett, who, first off, hardest working person in the City Council of Baltimore, maybe with the exception of me, but no, just kidding. The man works incredibly hard, but Chris had the foresight and the insight to know that human trafficking is a huge problem here in our city. We know that up and down the 95 corridor, people get trafficked all the time. And so Councilman Burnett created legislation. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but he did extraordinary work to create a commission on human trafficking. He has given out hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of grants to organizations that are on the ground doing the work. He is a true champion for this cause. And so it is my great honor and privilege to introduce my friend, Councilmember Christopher Burnett.
missing in DC, is believed to have been trafficked. And actually, this little girl's story is covered in the film Black and Missing on HBO. I don't want to say her name, but she's covered in the story. Some of the work and the storytelling is covered in there. So if you want to check it out, check it out. It's a good film. But she says, you got to do something about human trafficking. At the time, I didn't know what human trafficking was. So I came to Cohen, who at the time was the chair of the Education and Youth Committee, and I was like, look, I want to do a hearing on this. I want to know what's happening on this issue so we can educate the council. And we held the hearing, and to this day, it was probably the most difficult hearing to be a part of, because it was the first time that I was confronted with a number of things. One, the reality of what survivors and victims of trafficking go through, and we heard their testimony and their stories, and a tremendous amount of storytelling, and it was raw. There was a lot of emotion in the room. Second thing that I became very aware of was that there were a lot of organizations across the city that were doing amazing work, but were underfunded, running on very shoestring budgets without support from the city in any real significant ways. And the third thing I learned pretty quickly was that while there were some agencies working on this issue, nobody was working together. And so I reached out to Tom Stack, who is the mayor's office human trafficking coordinator, and in 2017, he and I started the Baltimore City Human Trafficking Collaborative, the first time that had been done in Baltimore. And at this point, we are one of the largest collaboratives in the state of Maryland. We have over 55 partners that come from the federal law enforcement agencies to organizations that are providing housing on the ground and supporting survivors every day. We've been in operation since 2017, and I think have done amazing work. Particularly, the thing I'm most proud of was starting the Baltimore City Human Trafficking Collaborative Grant Fund. And this coming fiscal year, we would have gotten out $1 million to organizations on the ground to make that promise, to answer the promise that I said in 2017, that we would, as a city of Baltimore, not only would we say we support victims of human trafficking, but we would actually put money behind it and actually help folks that are really doing the work on the ground. We passed a number of bills through the council, all of which I've had unanimous support, so I'm thankful for Zeke Cohen and all of my colleagues on the city council. Not a single no vote has come on any bill pertaining to whether it's training hotel workers, public awareness campaigns, you name it. We are really doing everything we can, both locally and at the state level, and need that continued support. So it's these type of events, it's these kind of investments, it's these kind of foundations that are the backbone for the work to support survivors, because at the end of the day, not everyone can do everything, but all of us can do something.
Yes.
We can all do our part. And so we'll continue as legislators doing what we can from City Hall, but most importantly, I'm looking forward to continuing the support of the folks that are doing the work, who are on the ground, who are in the trenches every day, to supporting Baltimore City residents and people who've been trafficked all over the country, all over the world every day. And so I'm thankful for the work. I'm thankful for the opportunity to highlight the work, and looking forward to partnering moving forward. So